After 2 preseason games, I'm ready to declare this team is ready for the regular season. Let's talk about it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster Brand, it's holiday season. Drop Drew in the mix, and 3 from KP. No, we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Deuce, still Beantown's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in locked on after. Corrales on the breakdown. Clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rain and Jace, how it started, raising banners, how we finish. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I'm so happy that you're making this your first listen every day. Thank you for joining me, everydayers. If you're a new listener, welcome aboard. Hope you enjoy the show. Subscribe. It's a 5-day-a-week podcast, bonus podcast after they play during the regular season. Preseason, you know, it's a weird preseason. They got back-to-back games coming up Saturday and Sunday. So I'm just going to do a podcast once after those games because they won't have like full everybody playing on a back-to-back. It's stupid. But anyway, I will have those on regular season games. So make sure you're subscribed. Watch the show on YouTube. Get into that comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the show, I'm John Corrales. Been covering this team for about 20 years now. I'm doing it for Boston Sports Journal. I've written a couple of books on the Celtics. One's called Built Different, the new one. You can get both of them on johncorrales.com. $30 gets them shipped to you anywhere in the United States. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season big with a return on FanDuel, a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet. You get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Celtics played 2 games in Abu Dhabi. They won both of them. Not that the wins or losses matter. The first one was a close one that they needed to pull out at the end, thanks to Drew Peterson, who, you know, great, nice couple of preseason games for Drew Peterson. And enjoy your time in Maine. They won the first game 107-103. They won the second game 130-104. It was a 42-16 third quarter where Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White were all on the floor. None of the Nuggets starters were on the floor. So that kind of triggered a big avalanche, and the Celtics ran away with it. If you care about preseason wins and losses, there you go. Later on, we'll talk about Lonnie Walker. Boy, was I wrong about that signing. We'll get to the role players kind of in this second half of the second segment or whatever. I just want to start with the biggest takeaway here, which is this team looks ready. This team looks like it's ready to play. Scal said it during the broadcast. This looks like a team that was playing in November, December. It doesn't look like a team that was playing fresh off a championship in October, where you might expect they'd ease their way into things. We were talking about all summer. The thing that can get the Celtics is complacency. The thing that can get them is this feeling of, we've done it. We know how to do it. We're not going to, go crazy in the beginning. We're going to ease into the season, and we'll turn it on at the end. Which, hey, I don't know how this team's going to look 5-6 years from now, but when Jayson Tatum is 30, 33, and Jaylen Brown is 34, if they're both on this team still, maybe they do ease into a season. But if these guys in their mid-20s with, a whole summer clearly working hard, they're ready. They are ready to go. They look like, aside for some missed shots early in the first game, they look good. I was watching Tatum and Brown, like Derek White, Drew Holiday, like everybody looks normal at worst, right? I'd say of those 4, Drew Holiday seems to be the most just kind of like even keel. Like, this is just who Drew Holiday is. He's done a lot of things. He showed us some physicality, nice drive to the rim, some lefty stuff as he always does, a couple of corner threes, some good defense here or there. Not a ton of minutes, 19 in the first game, 17 in the second game. You say, okay, that's Drew Holiday. I know what I'm getting. I've always known what I'm getting. And boom, that's exactly what we got. Derek White, exactly the same Derek White that we saw in the Olympics, exactly the same Derek White that we saw in the playoffs. couple of mistakes here or there. He had that one moment in the game on Friday where, walking the dog, kind of like trying to burn some clock, or save some clock, I should say. And Jamal Murray kind of Marcus Smarted him and stole the ball. So, okay, well, one bad play. So that's the only aberration that I saw out of Derek White. Everything else was the same old great Derek White that we've seen. Active on defense, rotating like crazy, making plays, blocking shots, getting steals. Great play in this game to get a steal in the corner, get the ball out in transition, and make a really nice bounce pass to Jaylen Brown for a dunk. That's Derek White. That's exactly what Derek White does. He's in mid-season form. It's incredible. There's no rust on their games. But Jaylen and Jayson are the two big takeaways for me. That Jaylen, let's start with him, looks incredible. Now, he has been looking forward to the Abu Dhabi games. He has, as he has said many times, he's visited the Middle East a lot, and it's almost like a second home to him. He says he's been there a lot. He's learned some things. He addressed the crowd in Arabic, which is nice. It's respectful to do when you're in a foreign country like that. In that situation, if you're able to address the crowd in their native tongue, if you can, you do it. It's a little sign of respect. I thought that was pretty cool. So Jaylen was clearly amped up for this, and he played like it, especially in the second game. In the first game, he looked just like pretty good. Like, it's like, wow, okay, JB looks really good. The second game, he's I think turned it up a notch. Bully ball. I mean, playing right through poor Vlatko Konkar. He got trucked by Jaylen in the open court, and it was a blocking foul. There are a lot of people, like, I know you want to take a charge. I would not want to take a charge against Jaylen Brown, especially the way he looks now. Jeez, Jaylen is just, I said trucked. He looks like a truck. That dude has definitely filled out some over the summer. He was coming down full head of steam. Konkar comes right in the middle. Konchar comes right down, like, tries to take the charge. Boom! He just goes sprawling into the baseline. That was a poor decision. Jaylen, plays right through Jamal Murray, gives him a too small in a preseason game. He got a technical foul in the preseason game. It's incredible. Jaylen was amped for this game, for this whole thing. He said after the game, I didn't get any sleep or anything like that. It's been kind of a whirlwind. It's good that they have like all of this time off now. So I don't know what their practice schedule is even going to be. They're probably in the air now as I'm recording this at 4 p.m. on Sunday. They're probably in the air. They'll be back at some point Sunday night. They need a few days to get themselves acclimated. So I would assume a Monday off, Tuesday off. I don't know what they're going to do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then they get that stretch of 3 games in 4 nights, a back-to-back at home, Saturday, Sunday, then Tuesday in Toronto to wrap up the preseason, and then another week off before they open up the season in New York. So there'll be plenty of chances for them to rest. And maybe that's why Jaylen went so nuts. Like, he was great. He looks better. And, every season, every summer, I think, okay, Jaylen always adds something. What's he going to do now? And I think the answer is he just is doing everything better. It's only 2 games, and I don't want to go overboard, but he very clearly was up for it. And I thought, what can you say? He passed the ball, 3 assists in the second game. What do you have in that first one? Let me flip on over here. 2 assists in that first game. So it was, a little mix of everything. That first game was, only 8 points, but 2 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, a block. In the second game, Jaylen, 21 points, 3 assists, 8 of 16 shooting, 2 of 7 from 3. It's the only little blemish. But if he'd hit one more three-pointer, he would have shot 43%. So, that's the difference between like, oh, he only shot 29% from 3. Well, hit one more three-pointer, and all of a sudden you're like elite shooter. Jayson Tatum also looked good. We'll talk about Jayson Tatum. We'll talk about the bigs, because I think the bigs are, pardon the pun, a big deal. We'll talk about that when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, I know I've spoken about my therapy journey. I thought I've been very benefited a lot from therapy. I think it's something that you can probably benefit from too. Whether you're working on things like long-term stuff, short-term stuff, work stuff, relationship stuff. Maybe you want to work through some things that scare you. It's, October and Halloween and things, people are talking about scary stuff. Maybe there are some fears that you want to overcome. Therapy is a great way to talk through a lot of that stuff, get yourself into a good mental place. Thing about BetterHelp is it's entirely online, right? So you don't have to go searching for a therapist. You don't have to go find somebody, drive there. You can just do it all wherever you are. Convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. You want to do during a lunch hour? I swear I can speak. If you want to do it during a lunch hour, you can do that. If you want to do it at home, you want to do it in private, maybe you don't want other people to know, that's fine. You don't have to be open about it. I am, but you don't have to be. That's fine. But as long as you're doing it. So you go to betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA. You're going to get $10 off, 10% off your first month, 10% off your first month. You fill out a brief questionnaire, you get matched with a licensed therapist. You can switch at any time. This is huge. You can switch at any time for no additional charge. BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. Make that your second listen. Have some fun with us over there. I do the show on Wednesdays with Jake Madison. It's a great way to keep up with the rest of the league. So wherever you found this podcast, find that one, Locked On NBA, watch it on YouTube. Let us know what you're thinking in the comment section there as well. Jayson Tatum looked really good in this. I think the jumper looks great. It's a little bit, and he talked about it again after the second game, where just better balance, a little bit of a quicker release. It looks quicker. It's not hugely different, but I think the best way I can say it was it looked more segmented, like it happened in stages, right? So it was like a dip, bring it up, and then shoot. This jump shot looks smooth. It's just all one motion, a little bit quicker release, a little bit more on the way up. It's just, I've never really liked Jayson Tatum's shooting form, which it doesn't matter really. Like your shooting form doesn't have to be visually pleasing as long as it goes in. Like Reggie Miller had one of the ugliest shots in the world. He's one of the best 3-point shooters we've ever seen. If it works, it works, right? But it stopped working for Jayson Tatum in the playoffs, so he tinkered with it, figured it out. It looks good. I like it. He's been hunting that shot. I think you look at the box scores, and he took 7 in both games. He was 3 of 7, I think. Yeah, 3 of 7 in both games. So 6 of 14. So you hit one more, and you're shooting 50% from 3. So that's a really good percentage for him. If he can do that during the season, hey, we'll take it, right? It looks good. The fact that he took 17 in 23 minutes, I mean 7 in 23 minutes, and then 7 in 19 minutes. I think these guys are looking for some of their shots because they know they're not going to play the whole game. So I think Jayson there were a couple times where he, one on the break where it was a 1-on-2 and he pulled up from 3. I don't know that that's a shot that he's going to take normally during the season. He might want to set that up and maybe take a better shot. But in this particular situation, I think he's just trying to hone in and just work on that shot and get it in game situations. I thought it looked good. So both Jays looked good. Jayson distributing just as well as he did during the season. I thought that, what can you say? Jayson Tatum looks ready to play NBA basketball, regular season basketball right now. Jaylen Brown looks ready. Hell, Jaylen looks ready for the playoffs. right now. So both those guys look good. That is so incredibly important to have both your stars come in and be in middle of the season form. That's inspiring for the rest of the team. You look around, if you're any of these other guys, and you look at how Jayson and Jaylen looked in these games, and you say, I got to keep up, man. I got to keep up. So that's, maybe the biggest development of these two preseason games. The other big thing is their big situation. No Al Horford. Joe Mazzulla was asked in Abu Dhabi why no Al Horford, and the answer was like, we're just ramping him up. It's a slower ramp up, which totally fine with me. I don't care. He was practicing. Obviously, there's no injury, so he looks fine. So there's no reason to be worried about that. At 38 years old, yeah, get him ready for the regular season. He'll play maybe one of these preseason games or two, and that's it. He's certainly not playing 3, because on the back-to-back, he's not gonna play on that Sunday game. I don't know if anybody's gonna play in that Sunday game out of the regulars. Why would they play anybody on that back-to-back? That's stupid. If you can't tell, I think the Celtics preseason schedule is freaking dumb. It is dumb. And I understand Abu Dhabi, you got to do it. That's an obligation. The league sets it up. You got no choice there. Fine. I don't like the fact that they traveled halfway around the world. They did. They got a lot out of it. That's great. But you take that time to go over there. Then you take this time to get back. All this time off the court. If this wasn't this particular team, if this wasn't this particular situation, I'd really be worked up. I'm not worked up because this team is fine. It's complete continuity. There's no one new in the rotation, really. And they clearly are fine, right? You saw in these first 2 games that they are completely fine. So I'm not worried about them having a week off. I'm not concerned about any of that stuff. But it doesn't make this schedule not dumb. So anyway, Al Horford sits out these 2 games. That gives Luke Kornet an opportunity to start. And I thought Luke Kornet was pretty good. He's not going to, be a world beater, right? You're missing production with Kristaps Porzingis out and with Al Horford out. But this is what we're going to see on these back-to-backs. When Al Horford sits these early season back-to-backs with no Porzingis, the Kornet starting with the rest of these guys is going to be the lineup that we see. So I think that's, a good thing to kind of get used. It's probably more important to get Luke Kornet more time with these guys than anything else in this preseason. And I thought he did a really good job. He's not going to, light up the scoreboard, but he's going to go out there. He's going to get some rebounds. He's going to get some block shots. He's going to do those things. But most importantly, I like him in that short roll. So if you're playing drop coverage against Luke Kornet out there and you're dropping deep into the paint, Kornet has the ability to short roll, which is right around the free throw line, get the ball there and pass out of that and move the ball. He can be a facilitator, maybe not a facilitator in the sense of a lot of assists, but Jayson Tatum has the ball on the left side, pick and roll with Luke Kornet. Kornet rolls to the middle of the floor, collapses the defense, because that's a place that, defenders really, pay attention to where the ball is. You don't want him to take one dribble and get to the rim. So he draws defensive attention, and then he just, spreads it, gets it to the other side of the floor. So when you're switching sides like that, it just bends the defense. And now you have an opportunity to get it to the other side. Maybe Jaylen Brown's on the other side. He then drives against the closeout, and Kornet's still there. Maybe he gets a dump off, or maybe it skips over to the other corner where Derek White or Drew Holiday is waiting. We've seen a lot of that stuff already. That ball movement is really critical to the Celtics offense. Luke Kornet has done a really good job, short roll, moving the ball, and being a part of the facilitation that way. He's a ball mover, and that's exactly what you want to see. Any scoring he does is gravy. Just I want to see some rebounds. I want to see some defense, which we saw tough against Nikola Jokic, right? Nikola Jokic is another guy that looks ready. He's like mid-season form himself. So it's tough to defend him. No one's going to defend him. So, Jokic had his moments against Kornet, including one wild where he's going with a lefty, looked like a hook, and he kind of switched it over for a righty shot. Jokic is just insane. He's just something completely different. So Kornet was going to have problems there. So did Tillman. I thought Tillman did a pretty good job. We'll talk Tillman and then the rest of these guys and my Lonnie Walker. I'm just so wrong. So wrong. I'll talk about all of that when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. NFL fans, you can start this season with a big return on FanDuel. It might be the best way for you to enjoy football if you're a Patriots fan. I know the Dolphins went up, and I said, forget it. I don't even know how that game ended. I don't care. It's just trash. That football game, no one won watching that football game. But you can have some fun with it over on FanDuel. If you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and a whole lot more on the same page where you place your bets. So go check that out. Place your first $5 bet. You get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. So you can pick the Patriots to win if you want with your $5 bet. It doesn't matter if you win it because you're going to get those 200 in bonus bets guaranteed. I would not bet anything on the Patriots at this point, but have fun with it if you'd like. Make sure you're using the tools available there at FanDuel. Set your limits, set your budget so you can have some fun with your disposable income and you're not going overboard. Nobody wants that. So have some fun over at FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. Get into that. If you're on Apple, you want to leave a review. Reviews are always fun. I always love 5-star reviews. Let me know. It really does help because it just spreads the word and people see how big their review is. Like any review, people see it and they want to go to it. Just like a restaurant. You see, you're going to go to a 2-star restaurant? No. 5-star review would be awesome. Thank you so much. If you're new, welcome aboard. Everydayers, I love the fact that you're with me so much. It's one of my favorite things to meet people who listen to the podcast. I love you so much. Xavier Tillman, I thought I had 2 really good games. And I think the biggest thing is so early, so I'm not going to go too crazy, but 1 for 2 from 3 in that first game, 2 of 3 from 3. 2 of 3 from 3 in the first game, 1 of 3 in the second game. So 3, 4, 6, that's 50%. Xavier Tillman's a 50% three-point shooter. Woo! No, actually better. He was 1 for 2. So 3 for 5. That's 60%. That's math I can do in my head. So this is one of very few examples of math I can do in my head. Tillman hitting threes is huge. Only 2 games, so I'm not going to overreact. I am just going to say that's what we want to see, and hopefully it can continue. His career will tell you that this won't last, and maybe it won't. So I'm just going to leave it there. But if Tillman's going to be hitting 3-pointers, that changes the equation a lot here. I like the situation the Celtics are in with their backup bigs. This is fine. They are fine. People have been saying all summer preseason, what are the Celtics going to do to address their backup big situation? I don't think they have to address it. I think Luke Kornet is perfectly fine, perfectly adequate in doing what he needs to do. Xavier Tillman is perfectly fine. I think the knee scope helped him with his mobility. I think he's able to stay in front of guards long enough on switches to be effective. And maybe that's helped him with his balance. Maybe it's helped him with his base on his 3-point shot. Maybe that balance is helping a couple of those fall. Maybe it's something that he worked on over the summer and it can fall with some consistency. All he needs to do is hit 35%. That's it. 35, 36%, right around league average. If he is an average 3-point shooter, then this season, it just changes so much about this season. In fact, the 3-point shooting, obviously with Joe Mazzulla, is such a big part of what this preseason is about. This upcoming season is about. Can Tillman hit shots? Can Jaden Springer hit shots? Jayson Tatum, can he get his shot back? All of these things with 3-point shooting. And so far, early returns are pretty good. So I like what I saw from Xavier Tillman. Lots to like in these 2 games. Now, Jaden Springer, okay. Springer had, like, he's obviously an incredible defender. He's a high level defender, and he did hit a couple of 3-pointers over that weekend. So that is, so what, he was 1 for 3. Okay, so 0 for 1 in that first game. So he only hit 1 3-pointer, which, okay, he's 1 for 4 in, okay, not great, not great. He doesn't look like a comfortable 3-point shooter. He took a shot from above the break, and I'm like, that is not a shot. It's flat. His release point is low. The release angle is very low. I don't like that release angle. He shoots it like way in front of his face. It's almost like a 45-degree angle. It needs to be up higher with more wrist, and he's like pushing it with his arm. And I don't like that. That tells me he's just not strong enough to get that shot up. Which is weird to say for a strong guy, but it's like he's not comfortable shooting from that far out. Lamar Stevens, last season, I looked at the same idea. Big, strong guy, but when it came to shooting from, 26 feet, it's a struggle. And it's not easy. So Springer does not look comfortable. He needs to be comfortable out there offensively. He had a couple of drives, got himself into trouble. One where he got bailed out in this second game, but in the first game, he really got himself into trouble, passing up some shots and driving into traffic and then getting stuck. He's young. He's 22, so I can't expect a ton now, but hoping for one of these wings to come out and be someone that you can count on as maybe a guy that can keep Tatum or Brown's minutes down, or White or Holiday's minutes down. He's still not quite there. Is maybe Jordan Walsh there? He's also in that same kind of boat. Showed some pretty good defense, hit a couple of 3-pointers. He's out there, looking like Jordan Walsh, but maybe a little more like in control from the summer, which is good. He did make some plays. There are some encouraging signs. I don't see him kind of cracking the rotation. Maybe if there's an injury, maybe if guys sit on a back-to-back, he can be there just in case. Maybe some garbage time minutes. I expect a little bit more main kind of development time, but so far no one is standing out as far as that who can be behind Hauser and Pritchard. Now look, Hauser was really good, shooting the lights out as usual. Pritchard shooting the lights out as usual. Payton Pritchard, preseason P, is just a god. He got into a little foul trouble early in this second game, but when he got back and was a little bit more unencumbered, when it's Payton Pritchard against the bench for the other team, whatever. Like, if I don't know, I don't bet on the NBA, but I would be curious to see if there's a second half kind of over under on Pritchard points, because when it's Pritchard with the ball in his hands against the other team's bench in the preseason, just take the over on whatever the points are. He just goes off. But Pritchard looks like his normal self. Like, whatever you think Pritchard is, that's what he is. That's what he's going to be. That's great. So thumbs up for him. Hauser looked good. I liked Hauser off the dribble. Hauser off the dribble, hitting a couple of mid-range shots in this game, going to the basket, making some plays. Love that. If you're taking dribbles, if you're attacking a closeout and you're taking a couple of dribbles and you're either getting into a midi, or if you're getting all the way to the rim, or if you're passing the ball, if you're effective, decking it and driving, then the defense can't be as aggressive closing out on you. That is an incredibly important skill for Sam Hauser to have. If you're a shooter, and a shooter with the ability to hit get as hot as Hauser can get, and you are also a threat to take 2 dribbles, pull up, and hit that shot, or 2 dribbles, dish, or 2 dribbles and get to the rim. If you can do that, 2-3 dribbles is it. That's all you need. If you can do that effectively, then the guy closing out on you is going to be aware of that. He's going to be afraid of that, and you're going to get that shot off. You just need to do it a couple of times a game. The first couple of times you do it, that guy is going to be like, oh, I can't be flying at this guy because he's still going to kill me. And maybe they say, well, I'd rather have him kill me with a mid-ranger versus a corner three-pointer. But still, if Hauser is getting into that mid-range and that's an easy money shot for him, yeah, twos are not as as deadly as threes, but they are when you can hit them at 60%. There's a point there where the 2-point shooting is mathematically like just as deadly as the three. You just got to hit them, and Hauser hit a few, so that's good. Nice development there. Let me get to Lonnie Walker, and we'll be back. We'll talk more about this, these two games and the most important stuff from these games. We'll talk about that tomorrow as well. So this is not all we're going to get out of these two preseason games. Plus they're off all week. So we got to stretch this content for as much as we can. I want to end on Lonnie Walker because I very clearly was wrong. I was maybe the most excited of the locals when that signing came. I was like, oh my God, what a stroke of genius. And then it leaked out, like people were like, oh, he might not stick around. I'm like, how could he not stick around? Well, it doesn't look like he's going to stick around. I'll just say, not only did he not look great in his time, very limited time, he looked like Terry Rozier wearing that number 12. He moves like Terry Rozier. But if he was going to get any significant time with this team, he wouldn't have gotten 6 minutes or 4 minutes. In this game on Sunday, he played 6 minutes and 51 seconds. On Friday night, he played 4 minutes and 16 seconds. So a combined, 11 minutes? That's not what you give a new guy, if you think he has a chance to crack the rotation. If you think, hey, Lonnie Walker could be a 10 to 12 to 15 minute a game guy, he can compete with Springer and all these other, after you get to your eighth man, maybe he could be your ninth, and maybe he's a guy that can get you some minutes in the regular season. All the stuff that I said prior to this, I very obviously clearly was wrong, because if you're only getting 7 minutes at the end of a 30-point preseason win, you're not part of the rotation. If you're only getting 4 minutes at the end of a preseason game, you're not part of the rotation. You're not somebody that's going to work in. They don't care to see him. How does he fit next to Jayson Tatum? How does he fit next to Jaylen Brown? How does he fit next? No, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. There was no experimentation. Hey, let's get a backcourt of Lonnie Walker and Drew Holiday. How about Lonnie Walker and Derek White? How does that work next to one another? Nope, none of that. None of it. So he's out. He's out of the rotation. The Exhibit 10, he legitimately is on an Exhibit 10 contract, and it's going to follow every Exhibit 10. He's going to get cut. He's going to go to the G League, and who knows after that? Maybe he comes in later in the season. I'm shocked. I'm still confused that this is where his career is, but this is where his career is. He's not part of the rotation. I was wrong about Lonnie Walker. So I hold out hope, but nope, sorry. So, hey, you can't be right 52% of the time if you're not right if you're right 52% of the time, you're wrong 48% of the time. Is that the Simpsons? Is that the numbers that he goes? It's a Simpsons reference as usual. And I will end it there. Thank you so much for listening. There's a little bit of an early drop here, so I can get you guys out there a Monday/Sunday podcast. Next podcast drops late tomorrow night. Usually that's when I drop my shows the night before or midnight or whatever, but these are early because they play these two games. And I wanted to talk about it. I want you to hear me talking about it because I love the sound of my voice. Thank you so much for being a listener, subscriber, a watcher, a viewer, a commenter. I love it all. Now I would love it if you shared the podcast Spread the word. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.